Horner or Toto might be looking at all this right now and thinking to himself, you know what, guys? Like, I don't know if I want the hassle. Like, and I know people be like, oh, he wants Verstappen. It's like, sure, but he's got to look at it as well. If he just sits back and becomes Austrian again for a moment.
Next up. And this was something a couple of people asked me, by the way, and it's basically, how do you think Max Verstappen has actually handled his career as such ever since the Red Bull has started to decline? Because we are in 2025, he's nowhere. Let me set the table here first. Ideally, look, when your car stops performing the way it used to, what a driver tends to do is, okay, I'll give it a year. Let's see if things improve. At the same time, you keep an eye out and see if there are options. The way Max has gone about the whole thing is, it's been a bit nonsensical, because even last season, and again, this is going to piss off a lot of people. Last season as well, he actually admitted that he had conversations with Toto Wolff, and Toto also came out public and said that. This season as well, he's basically accepted that there have been talks. Toto Wolff has been pretty vocal about it. Unless and until you are moving to the team in 2026, why are you having these talks?
This is why, publicly, why are you admitting them, basically? Yeah. Like, they always have the talks.
One foot in one team and other foot out. And that's, right now what he's done is, he's put himself in a situation where he's taking a gamble. And he's taking a gamble on Mercedes to a large extent. Again, Mercedes might have the best.
We've talked about this. Mercedes might have the best power unit next year, but doesn't necessarily mean they'll have the best car, because they've been unable to develop a car for the last 3 seasons. So what tells you they'll 4? Sorry, yeah. So what tells you they'll be able to, compared to McLaren next year? So McLaren have the same power unit. Maybe they won't have as good packaging in terms of like actually being able to sculpt it around the engine. Yeah. But overall, they may have a better car anyway, which could make up for the deficit. So,
and this is not 2014. We have to stop imagining that this is 2014, because in 2014, what happened was, McLaren was a team that was on decline. It was basically, Ron Dennis had come in and he was archaic in his way he went about things, to put it mildly. Then you had Williams and Force India, who were nothing. So
but the key point is, they didn't have the same engine back then. They have the same engine now.
Even if we assume that they had a close enough engine, the three teams were just not operating on the same level as a top team. McLaren is basically the best team in Formula 1 right now.
Well, McLaren has the best aero team and aero development strategy on the grid. Full stop. So
without a doubt.
So if they have the same engine as, which they will, because it's not 2014, as you said, the regulations are different. They have to have the exact same engine at the exact same time with the exact same upgrades, all the exact same. So even if the thing is, sure, Mercedes will be able to build the engine as like in parallel with their team at the minute, right? But
basically, the congruence will be there in what they're doing.
Can I just point out, that's the same as right now, and they're still not building a chassis better than McLaren.
Just one thing that a lot of people are not aware of: every team, customer team, is privy to the data and everything that is going on with the development of the PU, of 2026 PU. That kind of information
but my point is, I keep hearing, but the difference is Mercedes for 2026 will be able to build their engine to work perfectly with their chassis. And my response to that is, but they're able to do that right now. So why does that make a difference for next season? Like, they can build their engine perfectly for these regulations with their chassis. So why does that suddenly make a difference for next year? Like, it would make a difference if they were getting their engine 6 months in advance of everyone else, but they're not allowed to do that anymore. They're not allowed to change the mappings and get the best engine tweaks. They have to give all the best mappings, all the best information to their customer teams. So McLaren will have exactly the same engine as Mercedes. Sure, Mercedes will be able to package it better than McLaren if they have the capability to. But as I pointed out, they have that capability right now, and they're still not beating McLaren. So there's no set in stone thing to go, oh, well, next year they'll suddenly be able to build the best chassis on the grid.
Yeah.
Nothing tells us that. So,
that is the
will they build a better one than Red Bull? Probably. Well, chassis-wise, maybe not. Engine-wise, almost guaranteed. Yeah.
The problem here is that what he's done is, the way he's actually gone about the entire thing, he's basically he's cornered himself into a position where if he stays at Red Bull in 2026, everyone knows he's going to move out in 2027. And that's the known
Unless the
thing.
delivery of the car is amazing, basically.
Yeah, mostly. Let's say
In the unlikely
chance.
event that, Jody Egginton builds a last minute chassis.
Exactly. And that is one thing. Then the other scenario is, okay, fine, he takes a call and he moves to Mercedes. First of all, he's moving into a team where you have a prodigious talent in Kimi Antonelli. By the way, George Russell fans, hate to break it to you, if Max is coming, George is not going to be in the team.
Which, from a pragmatic point of
Apparently
view...
you're talking to one. So
I'm not... Yeah, I know, I got caught it. Just from a pragmatic point of view, like you keep George. It just... I get the other reasons outside, but like if we're just talking in terms of do you want the two best performing drivers, you keep George.
Nope.
And... yes, for now. Like, look, I get that there's the potential... Right?
No, it's not even that.
I
Max
had a
and George
potential to
don't go
have a
together.
vagina. It didn't work out. I have balls. So like
Max and
you
George don't go well together.
No,
As
sure,
simple as that.
but you don't know where Kimmy's going to end up performance-wise. So
He's going to end up quite high.
sure, you assume, but we don't know that 100%.
We know
no,
that.
we don't.
The people are going to clip this one out. And
Yeah.
he does fuck all in his F1 career.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, look, I get it though. I get that like it's unlikely that it'll be Max and George. Although I'm praying for it because it would be the most entertaining outcome.
At least
like
F1
Max
will be fun, right?
Well, Max and George in the same car, fighting for third place as the McLarens win would be very, very entertaining.
Yeah. I think we might be heading. I don't think George would be there. That.
But just
heart and heart. Hand
yeah,
on
yeah.
heart,
I know.
right?
I know that it's likely George is going to be replaced. I think it's a wrong decision from a performance and entertainment standpoint. I think it's the wrong
Basically,
decision.
from your perspective.
It's not even that. It's just I genuinely think that George is not that far off Max. I do think Max is a better driver than George, but I don't think the difference is crazy. And I think there would be weekends where George would be the better driver, and I think it would be so entertaining,
the partnership,
especially
George
at the
would be
start.
ahead,
Yeah,
and he should be ahead.
I think
the
it would be
problem
the
is
most
not that.
entertaining
The problem
thing.
is when you have. Look, Jos Verstappen lost his shit when Sergio Perez got the better strategy against Max in Monaco.
But the whole thing would be so much fun. It would be so much fun.
It would be fun for us, but if you're a Mercedes boss, if you're
I don't care about that. I'm saying it would be fun for us. That's all I care about.
That I agree. I agree.
That's all I care about. Can I just go back to what you were saying though about like Max's decisions?
The way he's going about his career.
I just think this is a situation of, look, Max's team hasn't guided him wrong so far, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like he's gotten a jump into Formula One. He's gotten the titles. He stuck with Red Bull because his team and everyone at Red Bull kept him there when it could not have worked out. And he could have gone to different teams. But if he had gone anywhere else, the likelihood is he doesn't have 4 championships right now. So there's
he looked he had 2
unless he went to Mercedes, but that was never going to happen. After the initial rounds, it just wasn't. After 2021, that wasn't going to happen. Whatever. The point is, they've made all these good decisions so far. So I don't blame Max for kind of going, well, they haven't steered me wrong so far, so I'm going to stick with them. And I think it's easy for us from an outside perspective to be like, well, this is idiotic. But I think when you're trusting the team, you're like, oh, well, they've not done me so wrong so far. I just think that Jos in particular is making really stupid decisions right now. And Max is going, well, I mean, he's been right so far, so he's probably right again. It's like, well, sure, a broken clock is right a couple of times a decade, but not this time, I don't think.
Yeah. But again,
and you're right. Even if he goes to Mercedes, it's like he's going on really bad terms as well. It's just all of it is just. It's not.
He's become radioactive, isn't he?
They could have sat back and silently achieved the same thing. They could have just stayed out of it.
That is my whole thing. That
watch
there
the
is
performance,
a way to go about these things. Now, what he's done is just to keep good terms with Marco. Maybe with Marco. Other than that, he's held the entire team to ransom. He's probably handled a bad car situation worse than Lewis did at Mercedes. Because Lewis did not hold the team at ransom. But again, he couldn't have because his teammate was beating him. It's still right. Because for me, the whole thing is there is a very, very likely scenario that Max goes on a run of a few years where he does not have the fastest car, and then he becomes disillusioned and does something similar to what Alonso did, where he's basically going to Vec, shouting at his own team, or stuff like that. And that's something you don't want. I mean,
Max
there are
saying
lessons to be
GP2
taken.
engine next year in a Red Bull would be fun, though.
Yeah, it would be if he's there. If he's at Mercedes, imagine what's going on, right? Basically, then he'll actually. That's the time when you start realizing that okay, he could have handled everything much better. Like I mean, we talked about it at the start of the season.
This is
For
the other
Max-
thing, though. Like,
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead. No.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
sorry. So what I was saying was that for Max, the best thing would have been fine. 2025, they're not going to win. Just put your best foot forward. Fine, get done with it. 2026, start of the season, see where everyone is, and then take your call of the future.
Yeah, 100%.
Right now, you've already played your cards, and you have no fucking clue how the 2026 grid is going to be.
This is just everything about it. I said this last year when Jos was getting involved. The Dutch Verstappen fans, lots and lots of them, essentially said, well, Jos is just looking out for his son. He's trying to get this and trying to get that. And like, he could do all that by doing nothing. He could let this play out and then position his son in the best possible outcome from the situation. By getting involved, all he's done is force one thing to happen, which is not the best thing for the team. And this was the thing I pointed out in a tweet today, which was, Max has been saying, I don't want noise. I just want us to focus on performance, right? Christian Horner has been Bill Clinton since the event, which is he's just focused on performance. And Christian Horner has been the quietest Christian Horner has ever been in his entire career at Red Bull, focused on performance. Meanwhile, Jos Verstappen and Helmut Marko have been shouting at the press every weekend for 12 months now. And somehow Christian Horner leaves. And you're like, so what Max is asking for is literally what Christian Horner has been doing, and somehow he's the guy that gets the boot. So it's just, I just think Jos, if this ends up in a situation where Max, for even if he goes to Mercedes and McLaren wins, and then all of a sudden you've got, you know, even if Piastri and Norris fight for the title once again, he can't go to McLaren because a lot of all this shit is kicked off, right? And Horner's been annoyed and there's been all this stuff going on.
Not going to touch him with a 10-foot pole.
No, and might I point out as well, I think someone made a good decision or a good point of, Horner or Toto might be looking at all this right now and thinking to himself, you know what, guys, like, I don't know if I want the hassle. Like, you know, and I know people be like, oh, he wants Verstappen. It's like, sure, but he's got to look at it as well. If he just sits back and becomes Austrian again for a moment, which is look at things pragmatically.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, he may look at it and go, you know what, I have the future in Kimi. Max is only going to be there for 3 or 4 years maximum anyway. And George is pretty much on his level from a performance to where if we have a best car, he can win the championship.
Yeah.
And if I bring him on, I'm bringing on all of this fucking noise. Do I need it? You know, he may look at it that way. And if he does turn,
honestly, he should.
But if he does turn down Max and we find out that is the reason why, it's only Jos to blame.
Yeah.
So, you know, that could be another situation.
It's not only Jos to blame; it's Max as well, because you
I'm
tend
just
not
giving
to give
Max
him agency. I tend to. I'm probably a bit harsh on him, but look, it might have worked before, but you need to know what's good at a particular moment. And if Max cannot make these calls at what he's 27, 28, I don't know when he can.
I just think you kind of like, this is the...
That's what grades did, right?
Well, but Bill Gates has said this a few times before. He's like, you know, it's easier
was just a friend.
Yeah. Jos Verstappen said the same thing. He said, I just went to that island for fun. I was hanging out with Toto. That would be really funny if Toto and Max's jet land on Little St. James. We're just making deals, I swear. What was I saying? No, it was Bill Gates was saying, like, this is the problem with success. Successful people are more likely to fail in future sometimes because they believe that their past success is an indicator of future success. Yeah. You know, and that is sometimes a problem where when you're in this situation, successful people, his exact words, were successful people have been successful before, so they assume they can't lose. So they just continue to do what they're doing and assume it will go right. You know, when a lot of it could have been luck or it could have been the right decision at this point, but it's not necessarily that you'll be successful again. And he could just be failing to that of looking at, you know, Jos and the team and saying, well, they know what they're doing. So I'll just leave them to it. They're the guys who have done me right in the past, so they'll do me right again in the future. Who fucking knows? Maybe we're wrong. Maybe Jos is a fucking genius and somehow, he'll end up with 10 world championships. I just think right now,
his talent deserves 10 world championships.
Sure, yeah.
But
that's not how F1 works though, is it?
That's what I'm saying. F1 doesn't work that every time you have a bad car or a team stops performing, you start pretty much putting the gun on their head. You don't do that. What you try to do is you either try to stay calm and rebuild, or you just shift bases. And I've always said it's entirely fine if Max shifts bases, because look, he's spent enough time at Red Bull.
He's done what he needs to do there.
Entirely fine.
Yeah.
My whole problem seems to be right now, because I think the way he's gone about it, he's ruined everything. The way he's ending the Red Bull relationship, it won't be on a good note. That's the whole problem.
This for me is the whole point. It's like you could have achieved the exact same thing without all of this.
Yeah.
And if you were quiet through all of this and just kind of went, okay, behind the scenes, all you had to do behind the scenes is just push for performance. You don't need your team publicly calling out and picking political sides. You can sit back and say to the Horner camp and to the Austrian camp, I don't really give a shit who's in charge. All I'm going to do is I'm going to complain about both of you if performance isn't put in front of me. And if performance isn't there, I'm going to be out the door. And that's what every driver should do.
That's the whole thing, right?
If he had just done that, then he could have left now anyway. Or at the end of next year, he could have said, look, I stuck around, but I'm out of here. And more teams would have looked at him. I think the problem is next year, you're going to have at least one more world champion, if not two. Because if he doesn't go to Mercedes next year and George does win next year, Toto's going to look at all of this and go, even if Kimi's underperforming and I could have Max, well, now I've got George as a champion and Max comes with all of this fucking baggage, so I don't need it.
What's the point?
So people will go, oh yeah, but you're going to pick Max over George. Well, if George has a world championship next year, no, that's not how F1 works.
Exactly.
We've seen this in the past, So,
and the whole thing is, and that's what pissed me off on the podcast that you'd suggested, where one of the journals, I'm not going to name them, they said that Max has been very pissed recently with all these questions about his future. Well, who brought them up? It's basically his manager literally admitting that yes, we are talking to different parties. If your manager is telling the media that we are talking to different parties, what do you expect? You expect these questions. You bring them on.
The whole point of my tweet this morning, Max goes, I don't want the noise, I just want to focus on performance.
Yeah.
Jos and Helmut continue to talk about the noise in the papers, and somehow Christian is to blame for all of this. And the journalists, as you said, in the race podcast this morning, which I listened to, they made that point of, they were like, oh, well, Jos is just sick of all this noise that comes with Horner. And it's like, but Horner hasn't been making any of this noise. He got the accusations. We've already talked about that, but he then pulled a Bill Clinton. He did what Bill Clinton did. He said, okay, I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I'm not going to go on rants. I'm going to focus on the economy. I'm going to focus on performance. And it was everyone around him shouting. So you can blame Horner for a lot of things, but when it comes to the noise, that's all on Jos and Marco. Yeah. That has nothing to do with Horner.
By the way,
if you don't believe me, go and look it up.
And just wait. I mean, next time around, Max ends up having basically a fit during the race and crashes into a driver. Lauren Mekies is not going to go out there with those screenshots and trying to defend his driver.
Well, it is going to be one of those funny things that it has been out and out Verstappen. It's been kind of funny that it's been Verstappen fans now for over 12 months, 18 months, right? Basically since the performance dropped and since Jos started shouting. 18 months. It's been the Verstappen fans calling for Horner to go, right? And now that Horner is gone, they're all absolutely even though they're like, oh, well, Horner has nothing to do with performance, but they're all like, please God, leave for Mercedes. Please God, leave for Mercedes. So it will be, I have to say, very, very funny if he stays and the performance goes down, because it's like, well, who are you blaming now, guys? Just
to cap it all off, that was the tweet I wrote, right? That, all of us, everyone, every single fan, they kind of make fun of Ferrari. They shit on Ferrari. They just make jokes about Ferrari, memes about Ferrari. But whenever things go wrong, the first instinct is to do exactly what Ferrari does. Yeah. And that's what they're doing.
Yeah. It's just, I just found I found the reaction the last few weeks really funny, because it's like, oh, we need to get rid of Horner. And then as soon as Horner left, it was like, well, Max needs to leave for Mercedes now. So I'm like, yeah, right. Okay. It's just so funny how if he stays, it's going to be hilarious. it really will be, because
Yeah,
they're
if it
not going to
stays,
have
it's going
anyone to blame.
Yeah, it's going
They're
to
only
be
going to have Jos to blame, but you know they won't do that. So it's going to be interesting to see who they blame next.
Lauren Mackey's. Not
Lauren
strong
Mackey's
enough. He's weak.
It'll be
This
Vache
is one thing
first.
we're going to see.
It'll be
Oh, yeah,
Vache
it'll be
first.
Vache first.
They'll all basically go, we'll get Jody in because he built the racing bull, so he'll know what to do. And then Jody will come in, he'll not compete. The point is, it's just such short-sighted thinking. It's
I can see Red Bull's future basically crumbling in front of our
it's
eyes.
recency bias on steroids.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this a lot because it's like, we've both called it of, guys, it's not that Red Bull has fallen apart. It's that McLaren has gotten better.
And it happens.
Yeah.
It's the
Simple as.
sport.
And the only logical solution was we make a car that can work for Verstappen. And that's what they did.
Multiple poles. But yeah, anyways. Finally,
he's ahead of everyone else except for McLaren, by the way.
Yeah.
So it's not like
He
they've
would
built
be
a really
leading the
bad car.
championship right now if there was no McLaren. And
Sure, yeah, 100%.
people
And
forget
and comfortably as well.
Yeah.
Like, he'd be in a championship battle with George, but George wouldn't be close. He'd comfortably be ahead, winning every race nearly.
Exactly.
So, except for maybe Canada. Like, so.
Maybe a couple more.
Yeah, there's probably one or two more. But yeah, it's just, it's such short-sighted thinking.